All right, we are at 7:30. How's our audio sound out there, everybody? And sound good back there? Good. All right, perfect. We'll let a few more people join in here. I am reviewing some plans on the wings right now. Let's see what we got here. Why don't you, can you drop a test message in there just to make sure that's working on this end? Can you do that on the live chat side or no? Oh, here it is. Never mind. I got it on the side. Oh, there. Scott K says it sounds good. Okay, I didn't see that on the side there. So we are in, and that looks like it's working good. Hey, Scott, how's it going tonight? So we finally got, I think we got all the bugs worked out of the live streaming from last week. We had that driver issue. I'm just going to let a few more people join up here, and then we'll kind of get going. Today is not a, thanks, Guy. Yeah, I see test. Perfect. Everything's working there. So today is not really a scripted, none of these are scripted, but tonight is not scripted at all. We're just going to be kind of jumping back into this left wing, and we're going to start finishing up drilling out that spar where the forward and rear skins overlap the main spar. We've got to get that hole drilled out and get on so we can get deburring that thing, taking it apart, and then jumping back into assembling and plumbing up where most of the work is in that left wing. You've got all of our Dynon, pitot tube, static tube. We've got our pitot tubes in there. We've got our lighting that's in there. So there's a lot of stuff going on top of the fuel tank, the return line, and all that good stuff. So lots of stuff going on. I'm doing well. Thanks for asking, Scott. Again, it's just good to get back out and get back to business working on this. Remind me, Scott, what are you working? Are you working on a Super Duty, or are you in the process? I can't remember where you were at in your journeys with kit building. Let us know in the comments. And it looks like we've got about 5 to 10 people. It's going up a little bit, so that's good. Drop a comment down below. Let me know who's here, who you're from, what you're doing, what you're building. And again, throughout any of these live sessions, feel free to shoot any comments, any questions. I'm not the expert, but I have got to this point by myself for the most part, and I've probably seen it and done it on this build so far. So the whole idea of these live chats and the Facebook group, which by the way is linked in the description of this video, it's all about, oh cool, 601. It's all about sharing the knowledge, helping each other out with tips and tricks and tools and techniques and all the above. So that's really what, really why I like doing them. And I know I've learned a lot from other people, whether it's pictures or videos or YouTube channels or the Zenith forum. There's always a lot of great information out there, and a lot of people who trailblazed ahead of us and ran into those issues, or built kits from a lot more rudimentary kits than we're now getting from Zenith. So that's a good thing. Who else we got out there today? I see we got about 7, 8 people in there. Scott said hi. We got Scott. Looks like we got is this Aaron? Building an SD in Cambodia. Wow, that's a long ways away from us. Awesome. How long have you had your kit? And did you start with the wings first, or did you build your fuselage first? Let us know kind of what you're doing there too. So I am going to, I was just reviewing, I wanted to make sure on this, one of the plans here, which is SD75 WW08. Just reviewing some of the rivet sizes in here, just making sure I was still on the same track, because it has been a minute since we were last drilling on this thing. So we're going to go over to the wing here in a second and talk about some of the techniques I've been using, the tools, and then also getting into actually starting to drill out in Cleco this wing again. So that's what we're going to be working on here. So I think I'm good on this. We can go ahead and jump over to the wing, and we'll get started. And again, if you have comments, I'll keep my phone with me and glance down on it once in a while, and we'll take a look. And again, if you have a comment, just leave it. There is a slight delay, of course, but we'll try and get those questions answered for you. All right. I ran the compressor already, so hopefully she's filled up with air, because that would be a little annoying to have that running non-stop. So again, we're on the left wing of the Super Duty. The right wing is in the cradle. You can just see it to the left side of the screen there. Again, if you want information on that cradle, we'll probably cover that in another video. That's a pretty standard wing cradle that's been out on the internet. I don't know if it's a EAA wing cradle or just one I saw plans for, but it works really well. Got the tie down straps, the shipping straps, built the frame, and it really is doing a great job supporting that. And having it on wheels and casters that are lockable allow me to rearrange the shop, move it around, and I don't have to worry about, you know, having help or the wing getting damaged unless I run it into the wall or something. So far, so good. Again, what we're working on here, you can see we've got a couple different colors of Clecos. Your blacks are your A5s, and your copper are your A4s. And what you typically do, especially on these on the spar where we haven't drilled a hole yet, I've kind of done it both ways, and I'm sure I'll get some haters on this, but I've actually just taken my A5 drill and just drilled this out. I mean, I suppose there's those that say, you know, drill it up A4, then go back and drill it up A5, and then, you know, that's a better way to do it. You can choose to do it however you want. I think the main thing is to make sure that you've got these skins fitted and tight, and that you've worked them on with Clecos, you've wrapped it around the ribs, and you've got a nice tight fit at this seam here. And as you drill these out and work your way out, you're kind of pushing out and getting out this wrinkle. It's not even really a wrinkle, it's just a slack per se. And if you work your way in one direction, you can kind of work that out. If you kind of jump around, you could potentially have gaps and space between the skins here, and you don't want that. One thing I do recall from, we all know who Mike Patey is, and he and Mark Patey, they built an 801, which is the 4-place Zenith that's not really made in the U.S. anymore. I think they do sell some kits out of Canada. But one of the things that really made their wings nice and true, and you can always tell this, you'll see it in videos, not just of Zenith, but really any metal skinned aircraft. But you'll see where there'll be an aerial shot, and you'll see the wings and the sun's hitting it, and you see all that ripple and wrinkle and oil canning in the skins. And a lot of that can have to do with how the skins were attached to the ribs, what the temperatures were. And one of the things that Mike said that they did is they made sure that their shop, when they skinned those, you know, the ribs and everything, that they had a very consistent climate-controlled shop. So just keep that in mind, that if you're out building in one wing in the cold in the winter and you don't have a good heat source, and in the summer it's 80 degrees in your shop and you build in the other wing, you could get some differences in how those skins fit to the ribs and spar and so on, because metal, you know, contracts and expands with heat differences, and you know, you're going to have some differences there. Just looking back at some chats, started March 23rd, fuselage first. Cool, awesome. So yeah, just keep that in mind. If you're building, you know, if you don't have a temperature controlled shop, you may want to, you know, just consider that when you do skin your wings, that you either do them at the same time and the same temperature, or try and have a nice climate controlled, consistent temperature as you're skinning them. So I'm going to get into doing some drilling here. I'm going to put up a couple drill bits. If you guys don't have drill bit stops, I would highly recommend them, and I'll show you the difference. You can stay on the wing there, Major. But let me jump over here. Just grab another drill bit really quick. Doesn't really matter what size because I'm not going to use the other one. All right, so here's your standard standard drill bit right here. This just happens to be I'm not even sure exactly what size this one is, but it's your standard drill bit without a stop. Now, what can happen is if you don't have a stop on your drill bit, as you drive as the drill bit goes into the skin or into the hole, your chuck where the drill is grabbing onto the drill bit ends up punching into the skin and leaving a little swirly mark on there. So what we've done is, instead of using a drill bit without a stop, is you can buy these stops like this, and you notice that they're color coded. We've got copper, we've got the black one, we have a silver one, and they're color coded for the size of drill bits that you're going to be using. And then what happens is when you punch through the metal, this aluminum tip, which has a little suspension system here, ends up bumping into the skin, and it doesn't leave a mark because it's got a little bit of a bounce to it, and it doesn't damage your skin. So that's a good thing to start with. So we're going to go ahead and I got to change out the drill bit here. We're going to go back to our copper tipped one. We'll get that all rigged up, and then we'll start going through here and knocking out some holes and see how we do. Now I'm using a Sioux Tools. I don't know. Let's see what's the exact model. This one, it's a 140. It's a 1412R, which is a reversible. Sioux Tools has been around a long time. You can see the size of this thing too. It's extremely compact. And one thing that's nice, you can use a standard electric drill. We've got all different types here, whether whatever your favorite brand is of drill you can use. But just to take an example, here's a Milwaukee drill. It does drilling and has an adjustable chuck and all that. The problem with electric drills is two things. One, it takes them a little bit to get up to speed, and two, they don't always have a high enough RPM to drill through aluminum. And when you're drilling a fresh hole, you really want that drill to spin immediately. So with something like an air drill, when you punch that trigger, you're immediately going to the full speed that drill does, like almost immediately or instantly. So it's important, and that's why almost all aircraft from World War II on have been built using air tools, specifically air drills, rivet guns, and so on. So that's what we use. I'm going to put a little oil in here just so we can get going. It's always good to keep the air tools lubed up, because if you don't have a air and water separator on your compressor, you'll be feeding, and there's how instant that is. Here's forward, that's full speed forward. Here's full speed backwards. So it's immediately turning right away. All right, so we're going to jump over here and we'll get going. Now, what I've got here, you can see I've worked my way over with the Clecos, the copper Clecos. And what I'm doing is I'm going to drill out every other hole, placing copper Clecos in it. Then I'm going to go back on the holes in between. I'm going to drill them out. Then I'm going to bump up the size to the black Clecos. So that's what we're working on right now. So I'm kind of holding this down with my finger. Now what's nice is the pre-punch holes help the tip of the drill to stay nice and straight. You got a nice straight down shot, and then you're going to go ahead and drill. And it takes a little bit because there's no hole in the spar. So we have to get through 2 sheets of skin and the spar before we're going to pop in there. And we got a nice tight fit, and we're going to move on to the next one. And it looks like we got Gutboy17 back in the chat from last week. Welcome again. And again, we're just working our way across, keeping everything nice and tight. There's our compressor on, but hopefully you can hear me with the mic on. Just adjusting that pressure just a teeny bit. How was the sound with the compressor going? Is it okay? Okay. Yeah, I got a mic on my chest, so it hopefully doesn't pick up all the stuff there. Hey, David, thanks for joining in. Another thing that's kind of handy to have is one of these, just a quick air, a sprayer for your air hose. Makes it real easy to get the shavings off of here. Keep your area real clean so you don't get parts and pieces and crevices you don't want them in. Leaky joint there on that swivel I got. Almost to the end here, and then we're going to start working our way back here in a second. You definitely need a lot of Clecos on the wings, that's for sure. You can get away with not having as much when you're building the fuselage because you're kind of jumping around a little bit, but when you're doing the wings, you're going to use a lot of Clecos. So make sure you order everything they tell you in the manual and plus probably an additional 100 or so. I went ahead and went 2 in a row here because I want to get this in nice and tight down there too. Now what I can do is a couple things. I can go back through and just drill out every other hole because I've got the Clecos holding it tight. And then when I get to the end, I can shift all the Clecos one over and then go back and drill out all these to the black size, the A5 size. So that's kind of what I'm working through here. If I look back from where I left off, still need to drill every other one here, and I think I got my A5s drilled out over here. So yeah, I'm just really kind of working my way back through. So now we're kind of going back the other way, but we've got everything nice and tight, skins are on, everything's straight. Really just letting the drill bit do the work. I've got straight down direct pressure on it, but I'm not forcing it through. All right, we'll let that compressor catch up. Hey, Greg. That's right, all these are already up. All right, I want to mention one quick thing. There are a couple areas on that front spar where if you do drop the drill bit in, let me find it here. It's right in here somewhere. Right there's one. You can see and you feel it right away. You hear that? I'm hitting on the head of one of the bolts that's on the ribs attached to spar. So if you feel that, don't continue drilling because you're going to drill out the bolt. So if you feel that, when you deburr everything, you can go back and open up that hole with the skin off. But if you feel your drill bit run into something, definitely don't keep pushing in there, because there's one there that's probably hitting a bolt that's right under that head, so that will happen. So we've got all of these drilled out here. Of course, the copper ones are already in, the holes that are also already drilled out. So we've got a few more here. Looks like maybe a good 10 or 20 here. I'll go ahead and run through those, and then I'll just keep checking back. If you guys got any questions or you want to throw info out there. Greg says he was at the Viking Engine Workshop. It was excellent. If you plan to buy or have already bought, the workshop is well worth your time. Bought my 195. Yeah, I haven't been to one of the workshops. I've been to, of course, Zenith several times and talked to Jan and Alyssa. They've actually been to my shop here as well. And I've seen some of the videos they put on. If you haven't or can't make it to one of their engine workshops, they do have several online. I would highly recommend you check them out. You can see questions that are asked and ask questions, or just email them directly and get your questions asked. And those of us that have Viking engines, either flying or going to be flying, will also gladly help you out with any questions you might have. For anybody joining in a little late, I talked about it at the top of the live, but we are just going non-scripted today and just getting some work done. So if you want to chat or talk in the comments, feel free to, and we'll be stopping occasionally to look at questions. But we got to get a plane finished here, so. There's another one right there where that rib is held on with a bolt. So it wouldn't even hurt to even mark those, just so we know. Let me grab my Sharpie really quick. We got 12 people in here right now. If you're watching, drop a name and a kit that you're building, if you don't mind. Let's see here. Sharpie. Yeah, once you get, once you get the parts, that's that one there. Once you get your skeleton together, which, especially after you do one, the hardest part is really laying out all the parts. And be very mindful to the ribs, especially at the root end of the wings, because there are a lot of ribs and a lot of them that look alike, but there's slight differences in the ends and the holes that are drilled, and just really double check, triple check. It's that whole measure twice, cut once thing. On my first wing, there was one rib that I reversed. I actually used a rib from the other wing in the right wing that was supposed to be for the left wing. Wasn't a big deal, but it didn't have the flapper-on bracket holes drilled in it. And I talked to Roger, and I said, should I take this whole thing out, or should I just drill the holes in that one? I can make a jig and keep it straight. And it all worked out in the end, but just real important that once you lay your ribs out and you Cleco them to the spar, the front spar and the rear spar, that part you can assemble the whole skeleton easily in an afternoon, and then it really comes down to starting to lay the skins out. And of course, you start with the bottom ones first, the wings upside down, you've got a flat surface. But you do want to pay attention to the direction of the skins, which ones go on top of which are front, back, outboard, inboard, because it would be possible for you to put them on the wrong side of each other. So just take your time, but once you get it sheeted like this work, while it's tedious, it's easy, and it just takes a while to do, but it's simple work. You just have to do a lot of them. Anybody want to drop a comment in there about how many holes you think we actually drill building a Super Duty? Let me know.
Almost done with the A4 holes. We'll get these wrapped up and then we can chat a bit more. There's another bolt. Yeah, and Aaron's right there. Even the small L bracket for the flaperons seems to have a left and right, and that's definitely true. You've got the, let's see if we can get that in the picture here. Let me see, Major. I'm going to turn this just a teeny bit. See if that works. Is it good? Okay. I know we got that little bit of a delay. But this bracket right here, there's a little L bracket that's A4 riveted. It goes on the inside of the skin and then attaches to the side of the flaperon bracket along with the rivets that hold the flaperon bracket on. And it is slightly different. It looks the same because it's an L. It's like an angle, but the holes are not exactly the same. So you can flip it around and, you know, left, right, up, down, twist it upside down and see to make sure you've got those holes lined up. Otherwise, you may be drilling out something you didn't need to drill out. So that's a very good point. All right. Just going to get a quick drink here. I think there it goes right there. It's moving now. Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's a good tip, Aaron. Hopefully I'm saying your name right, too. I apologize if I'm not. Greg, was that workshop in Florida, or where was that? Hey, Decker's Bows is back. Just got here. Well, you're just in time. So we've been, you can cut over to this one, too, if you want, Major. So we have been working on the left wing. We're going to continue doing that. We are basically drilling out those spar holes and going from our A4 and then bumping them up to A5, and we're just talking a little bit about that. There's some good tips here in the chat, so that's good. But yeah, we just took a quick break, and then we're going to jump back over to working back on the wing. I got to switch out drill bits. If you're just joining us, or you're just joining the build in general, Again, we are building a experimental home-built aircraft known as the Zenith Super Duty. It's available here in a kit form from Zenith Aircraft in Mexico, Missouri. And it's an all-aluminum kit-built aircraft. The kit comes basically CNC punched, machined. There are some solid parts and welded parts that are manufactured, fabricated for you. But yeah, we are building a Zenith Super Duty, which is a 2.5 or 3 place kind of backcountry style aircraft that's made for those rugged off-field landings and just kind of getting out, flying low and slow. And Gutboy asks, is there a good resource for finding and picking up used Clecos? I hear that a lot. Obviously, if you want to buy some used, I'm sure you can find them on eBay. I hear a lot of guys say that if you're in contact with your local EAA chapter, a lot of those guys, they've built mini planes and or have Clecos available for borrowing, whether that be, you know, working in their shop or just borrowing some from their shop. Outside of that, if anybody else has any ideas, just drop them in the comments. But yeah, I went with when I bought the tail kit, or not the tail kit, but the rudder kit, the one you start with, or the one that you build at the workshop usually. They give you a little 3-ring binder, and it's kind of your introduction to aluminum home building, and they talk about drills and drill bits and Clecos, and they give you a recommendation. I don't remember off the top of my head what it was, but I want to say, you know, they tell you, well, I can grab it really quick. Let's jump over there. I've got it right here in the toolbox. We can jump back here. And let's see here. So I don't know if you guys received this, but when I bought my rudder kit, I got this little plastic 3-ring binder. There was not a lot of stuff in it, but it talks about introduction to building and about the designer. And on page 14 of 29, it talks about, it has all the kits listed, the 650, 701, 750, and 750 SD. And it says right here what you should have minimum. It says the 332nd, which is the silver ones, 50, 200 of the copper, 250 of the black, which is our A5, and then about 25 of the 3/16, which is the gold. That's typically used for your larger, your bolt size holes. You don't use them a lot, but you definitely want to get some of those. But definitely get yourself about another 100 black and 100 copper, I would say, just to have enough, because as you start, and this is, I'm only building one wing at a time. Some guys try and do both, you know, that they have both skeletons going at the same time, both skins going on, and if you're doing that, you're going to need pretty much double these things. But definitely good tips in here. It talks about the drill bit sizes, what, you know, number 40 goes with an A3, number 30 goes with an A4, and so on, 20 with an A5. So, and then of course you had your plans for your rudder kit in here, and that was all done. Here's that IPL that everybody talks about. The IPL was great for the rudder kit. Beyond that, it kind of fades off the further you get into that. And I think from some of the forum questions that you guys have been asking, you probably have seen that. A couple other really handy Clecos to have, I'll show you real quick, are some of these angled ones. I'll bring them up to the camera here. So you've got like these for holding pieces together or holding a skin onto a rib per se. They've even got different lengths. So they've got like a short one, they've got a long one. They're kind of like little miniature wood clamps. But these come in really handy when you need an extra hand. And then of course there's those gold ones that are used for the big holes. If you need them new, you can get them on Aircraft Spruce. They're fairly reasonable, but yeah, find another builder in your area or EAA chapter that might be able to loan you some, or go to eBay. I know some guys are selling their tools and parts and pieces on eBay for picking up used Clecos, so that's an option there too. So we'll jump back over to the wing really quick, and we can continue on over here. I'm going to switch it out and go to the A5 drill bit now. And again, if you're just joining, We are using these drill stops, real important to have. Here's the one I had on the drill, and here's the one we're going up to A5. Basically, all you buy is this little stop with a spring. You put your own drill bits in there. So you can get your drill bits from Zenith, or you can get them from Aircraft Spruce. You can buy a bag of drill bits. You know, one drill bit will last you a long time. You slip it into here, and then there's a little Allen screw that sets it. And that keeps you really from these chucks on your drill from spinning on top of the skin and ruining your finish. You know, not as important on a surface, you know, a pop rivet style rivet. If you're doing any flush riveting, it's going to really show up because your flush rivet's flush, and then you got these swirl marks on your skin, which is no good. So just a cool tip. They usually sell them in a pack of 3. I think you get one of each, or you can buy them individually. Definitely worth the money, and just allows you to make a nice cleaner hole on the skins. So I am bumping the holes up now from the copper Clecos. We're going to start going, well, since the skins are tight down, I'm going to take all these holes that are open and drill them all out to the black size. And then we'll shift our black Clecos into those and then drill out the remaining ones. And that's going to basically bring all the holes up to the A5 size, which is what we need, because that's what we need for final rivet size. Once we get done with that, then of course all this comes apart, and we start deburring and working on the inside and doing all that good stuff. So we'll get started. Again, using the Sioux Tools drill. This is air drill, pretty much immediate when you hit the trigger, which is what you want when you're doing aluminum, because there's no delay and you don't swivel off or spin off the aluminum. Now, since we've already made our initial hole through the spar, this hard angle, the next drill goes a lot quicker because we're just basically enlarging it up one size. You can see that, how quick I just did that. And one of the reasons for having that air drill is you see how immediate it starts to go. If we were turning slower, we might walk our way out of that hole and make a big mess there. There's another one of those nuts. Probably didn't mark that one the first time. It's amazing how you can go through all these holes one at a time, and you'll go back and you'll still always miss one somewhere. All right, that is that whole row, at least every other one. So now we will go back and we'll start placing Clecos in all those so we can bump up to the next size. Has anybody raced at the Cleco race they have every year at the Zenith homecoming? Got to get your skills up. Win prizes. You'll be an expert by the time you get done with this one. You can see though we've got everything's nice and tight going across here. No wavering in the skins. We'll see if it stays that way, but so far so good. I talked a little bit about skinning your wings in different temperatures. And a little tip that was brought up by the Paties when they built their 801, which was a climate controlled hangar. And or, you know, not starting a wing in one temperature and then finishing it when it's hotter or colder, because those differences in the heat temperature, the heat changes, the skin can shrink and expand, and, you know, 1 minute it's tight and next minute it's not, and you end up with varying results in your skin. So aluminum aircraft are never going to be perfect, but they can be pretty close. So Greg, if you're still in here, what's your target? You trying to get this thing done in a record time? It seems like you're out there knocking it out, so that's cool. Do you have a goal in mind or a date you're trying to finish by? Just curious. Of course, I'm putting these in every hole now because I'll be taking out the copper ones and going back and drilling those up to the black size. Once I get those up to the black size, I don't have to put anything in there because I'm going to be disassembling the entire thing. So that's how that goes. Okay, so we've got one more there. That's a bolt. Now that's tight now, that's good. Okay, let's take out this one, bring that one up to size. All right, so out with the copper ones now. Actually, I'll put these in the right bin. try and keep my stuff organized if I can. Talked a little bit about that in some of the first videos I did when it came to organizing the shop and organizing the hardware and you know, storing the parts and building shelves, and that all takes more time, and maybe it takes you away from starting your build right away, but it all pays off in the end because you've got stuff organized and you can find parts later when you might not know what they are when you first get them. Greg says he is flying April 2025, so basically a year from now, slightly longer. Well, good luck. Sounds like you're on the right track, that's for sure. Like I said, I've said many times, the fuselage itself is pretty straightforward, pretty easy to do. The wings, not too bad. The assembly's not bad. It's probably more just the plumbing and everything else that you got to get done that takes a little bit longer, wiring and things like that. But it's all the other stuff, right? It's the 90% done, 90% to go saying, you know. So, but the goal is, you know, once you get one thing done, that's one less thing you got to do. So my goal was to get all the main structures done, so the fuselage, the wings. Then I'll go into my flaperons, my slats, and then it's really just starting to tie it all together. My panel's already built. It is not in the plane, but it's built and on the bench, ready to go. And so it's really just going to be the final wiring. I've already ran the engine. So we got to put glass in the doors and that kind of stuff. But that's all, you know, one day, one weekend projects. It's just, you know, plugging away at it little by little. So. Okay, we're bumping these holes up to A5 final size through the spar. Keeping everything nice and straight, nice and tight. And we have already basically blown through an hour almost. I'm going to keep going until I get these all sized up. So I will stay here. You guys are welcome to hang out. Again, if you got questions for me or anybody in the chat, feel free to drop a question. Also, give us some feedback. Is this something you guys want to see? Is it boring? Is it make your build funner to go through? You know, what? Give us some feedback. What do you think? Keep doing the lives. Don't do the lives. Don't care. Like my pressure's getting down a little bit. And that's because I shut the air off. Can't do that. Let's see. Scott enjoys watching live streams. It's always fun to watch builds in progress. I would agree. I find myself watching pretty much anything aviation. So appreciate that. Good feedback. Decker's Bows, are you thinking of paint or vinyl? I'm doing paint. And you've already seen some of my planes already powder coated. The rest is going to be painted. And if you look at our thumbnail, or not the thumbnail, well, I guess it is in the thumbnail, but the thumbnail and also the channel art at the top of our YouTube channel, you can kind of get a idea of what the paint scheme looks like. I'll go into more detail during the painting phase, which could be sooner than later, because you get to a point where you're either going to be assembling things, or you're going to be painting things, or you're going to be assembling things and taking them apart and painting things. So might as well get them done in the right order. So I think my plan will be, when I get my second wing done, this right wing, excuse me, the left wing, I will probably get everything buttoned up, get it as far as it can go, and then I will paint both wings, which will give me a little practice painting, you know, this aluminum and the paint I'm going to use, and we'll see how the paint's looking, and yeah, then we'll go from there. The fuselage has a couple different colors going on it, so that'll be slightly different, but yep, we're going to be doing paint. How about you? Nice to get that compressor off. You guys may be able to hear me, but I cannot hear myself, so. Okay. Yeah, lots of deburring. Definitely lots of deburring, especially when you're working on the wings. You feel like you build the wings about 6 times by the time you get them done, because you fit them, you drill them back out, you deburr them, you put them back together, you re-Cleco them all. You're doing it, you know, at least 2 to 3 times. So we have the spar fully drilled out all the way up to A5, all the way down. We've got Clecos in every other hole that are A5, and on every other open hole is now A5. So now we will, the next step will probably be just to move on to the ribs. And ribs, you want to definitely keep the Clecos in. It may seem like they never fit on your ribs correctly, but if you work them from the front and work your way up with the Clecos and put one in every hole, it will stretch those skins and get them into place. And you want to do that first, because that's going to really determine where this nose skin wraps over and ultimately drills through the spar. So that's pretty important. So once you have your top skins on, the outboard, the inboard, your tank skin, then bring your Clecos up and over, wrap your nose skins over the nose ribs and tight down to the top. And then all you're left with is those small pilot holes. And then as you start to drill those out, you want to work your way out, which will help you get any rippling out of the skins. And then we took them all up to the next size. Yeah, and then it's on to basically doing and drilling up the ribs now to A4. So I may continue on with that tonight. We'll see. Let me just check here if there's any other questions. I'm going to go back to my plans table real fast, and let's see here. Let's see. I noticed the inboard nose and main rib flanges are only drilled to 3/32. Is it to allow for the root rib skin install later? Yeah, most likely. If you're probably talking, yeah, I know what you're saying back there. Those will be drilled out. I just probably haven't got to them yet, but you're not going to be putting anything in those, so it's a good way to keep them open and marked, because if you forget and you start knocking rivets in there and you haven't put that root skin on, you could actually create more work for yourself there. So, but again, I'm just looking at, again, the plans are really your best instructions for this kit. The plans are actually very well done. It's all the other stuff that's lacking a little bit, but it's very easy to see when you're looking at these from the bottom, you know, which skin goes over what. You just have to look at the picture and kind of study it for a second. And then, you know, your A5 and your A4 lines. Basically, everything on the wing is A5 except for those stiffeners. I'm sorry, the angles, they're called angles on there. So the angles that are horizontally in the wings, those are held on with A4s. Now, some people have accidentally drilled the A5, not a big deal. You just added a couple pounds or, you know, not even that, but not a big deal. But they only are required to be A4s. So what I did on my wings, I just took a Sharpie and wrote A4 on all the holes that were A4. And then that way, or I just did it on one end and the other end and put an arrow there. That way I didn't accidentally bump the size up on there. But the jury strut brackets, all the skins on the nose, the top skins, the trailing edge, everything is A5. So pretty much every hole on the wing, with the exception of the flaperon angles and the stiffener angles, are A4. So, well, we still got 11 people watching. I'm not sure who everybody is. It looks like we've got a lot of the same people from last week. That's good. Again, I appreciate the feedback. If there's something we should do different, something more you want to see, we do have the option to do more camera angles, and when we get into more, what am I going to say, difficult things, we can actually add more angles. We did some of our first lives, we had 3 or 4 cameras going. So we have a mobile camera that we walk around with, and then we have them fixed on a couple of the workshop areas, so we can definitely do that. Again, I do appreciate all of the feedback. Definitely give it a like. If you like the video, give a comment. All the lives are replayable, so about a half hour or so after the live ends, it'll get posted to our normal channel, either under the live videos or the Super Duty videos, the Super Duty build series. There'll be the lives there. So right under the top of our page, you'll see videos, lives, shorts, and all that. If you go to lives, all these lives are in there. They're also in the Super Duty build series, which starts all the way back at episode 1 and goes up until today. So let me see. Any significance to your tail number? Yep, there definitely is. 819 is my birthday, and AK is for Alaska. That's where I was born, and that's where I learned to fly. So 819 Alpha Kilo is the tail number. I also have some other consecutive tail numbers in the same series reserved. If you haven't reserved your tail number, I do talk about that in the Back to School Super Duty video that I did a while back. It's got the blue thumbnail with the Back to School on it. A lot of good information in talking about registering your, reserving and paying for your tail number, registering your aircraft. There's some tips and tricks in there because the FAA is really sticky on how you register an aircraft. You can't change a word or a name on any of the forms. Everything has to match from the bill of sale to the registration. If you don't have two things the same, they'll kick it back. And we know with everything government right now, it takes a long time to get things done. So if you're already waiting 6 to 8 weeks and then all of a sudden you got one thing wrong and they kick it back, you could potentially be waiting again. Now, if you check up on it once in a while, you know, whether it be through the N number, searching on the FAA website or calling them, you will wait a little while on hold. But if you do get through to somebody, they can say, oh yeah, we see that you put it in your name, but then you registered as your company's name or whatever. They can usually fix it on the phone, and then that'll keep the process going. But just make sure that when you get into that paperwork part, I highly recommend that EAA experimental aircraft bundle that they sell. It's like less than 20 bucks, 15 bucks or something like that. It gives you all the information that you need to register your aircraft and do all that good stuff. So with that, we are at 8:39. We're going to try and keep these to about an hour of live
When we get something more exciting going on, you know, engine running or avionics or something like that, we may just leave the camera up for the entire time. But for right now, we just want to keep the lives going and, you know, keep the interaction going with you guys. Again, appreciate everybody that's joined the Facebook group. We're about 25 people away from 1,000 total members. And like I said, I do a lot of weaning out of all the junk so you guys don't have to do it yourselves. There's not going to be any t-shirt ads. If there is, definitely report them to me and I'll get them out of there. We get a lot of the you know, phony foreign, you know, posts that don't have any kind of pictures or any kind of anything related to aviation. If you don't answer the questions and it doesn't look like you're into aviation or have any interest in that, you're probably not going to get accepted into the group initially. So if you are having an issue with that, or maybe you have a very private Facebook page, just send me a message privately and say, hey, I tried to sign up and it didn't work or whatever. And then I know you're a real person and we'll get you in there. We're just really doing that so that, you know, we don't have all the junk in there, because you've all been in these Facebook groups and all of a sudden it's, you know, every ad for everything on the around the world. So anyways, again, guys, it's Adam in the Aeroworks workshop / hangar, working on my Super Duty, and we're getting close. Probably the next video we will have everything that needed to be bumped up to A4, excuse me, A5 in the wing done. We'll have those skins off, and then we can give you an inside look at what's going on and how we're routing all the cables, power cables, and some of the plumbing for the pitot system, pitot-static system, and anything else that we have going on. And so that's the plan for next time. But I appreciate you guys for watching. And again, the live chat will be up. You can also leave a comment on the regular video after it's posted. If you didn't miss it or didn't catch this one, again, we're going to try and do these as long as I'm in town and working on the project. We will try and do one. We're sticking to that Saturday just because it's easy for us all to get on here. If the time is working for you guys, let me know. If it's not, we can maybe adjust that. But for right now, we're shooting for, you know, that 7:30 time slot on Saturday night. So appreciate it, guys. Thanks again, Adam. Good luck with your builds. Keep sending those photos and questions, and we will see you next week.